Welcome back. I'm Dr. D.
And I'm Princess Gaia.
So in this video, we're going to talk about some of the specific concepts in Michael Porter's Creating Shared Value article, and we're going to compare them with
Gaia-based corporate social and sustainable responsibility.
So the first product, or the first idea that Michael Porter comes up with is this idea of reconceiving products and markets. And I think organic food is a fantastic example of this in action. When people eat food, their fundamental desire is to receive nourishment, right? And it's true, junk food can certainly meet that need. However, by creating organic foods, you're finding a way to better meet the customer's needs of nourishment. So you are producing a product that is better for the environment, but it also meets a customer's needs better. And ideally, from the company perspective, they're willing to pay a premium for that product as well.
So that's very interesting. All stakeholders are having their share of this deal. Still, in this world today, most people consume more than they need. This maybe is due to the things are cheap, the things are healthy, the things are good to get, and maybe the farmer or the producer has a good marketing and wants to increase the status. So in these means, Gaia-based approaches look more into the difference of desire and needs. So what is desire? What needs do we really have? And can we live a joyful life? Can we be happy by only meeting our needs, not accumulating, not exploiting, not increasing our social status? And in these means, Gaia-based corporate social and sustainable responsibility looks more at our connectedness to our inner selves, being happy without wanting to be who we assume we should be, just being happy by being who we are.
That's awesome. Let me give you the second example from Michael Porter's article, and this is energy use and logistics, right? So it's possible to use less energy and make stakeholders happier at the same time. And my favorite example of this from my personal experience was my first employer in California. And what they did is they had no classes on Friday. There were no classes at all. And so what they did with no classes, their idea was that people wouldn't be commuting in heavy California traffic on Fridays. They could turn off most of the utilities in the school, turn off heating and air conditioning, keep the lights turned off, turn off all the computers and all that stuff. So it saved on energy use there. And of course, it also would make faculty and students happier because they were not being basically having their souls crushed by heavy Los Angeles traffic. So what do you wind up doing? Less pollution from cars driving, less energy consumption on the campus, happier people because they're not going in on a Friday. So everybody wins with reduced energy use and logistics in this case.
Oh, that's a very nice example of scaling down, or what we call degrowth of economy. Still, in the Gaia-based approaches, we try to have another motivation than this. This sounds to me like a extrinsic motivation. So you're talking about annual goals, about an outcome, about a result of degrowth and scaling down. And in the Gaia-based approaches, this outcome just happens by itself because we are intrinsically motivated. The result just happens along the way.
Yeah, it's interesting because sometimes there can be examples where it is both intrinsic and extrinsic, right? Making people happier, which is intrinsic, and saving a company money, which is extrinsic as well. And I think resource use will be a great example of this. My favorite example of resource use, and this is using few resources for the same goal. The example that comes to my mind, think about staying in a hotel in the United States in the 1990s. What did you normally see in a hotel bathroom? They would take a sticker and they'd stick it over the toilet paper to let you know that the maid came through. Now, what happens when it's time to use the bathroom and you've got a sticker on the toilet paper? I'll tell you exactly what happens. You tear the sticker off and it tears through about 6 to 8 sheets of toilet paper right off the bat. So when you start unrolling your toilet paper roll, there's a big hole in it, basically about 2 fingers worth of a hole in the first 6 to 8 sheets. Well, that toilet paper is basically useless at that point. So you have to throw all that toilet paper away until you get to the toilet paper that's actually got a whole square. Okay? But what they've now wound up doing is not putting those stickers on the toilet paper anymore. They just take the first square of the toilet paper and they fold it. So when it's time to use the bathroom, you just unfold that little square and then you can start using toilet paper. So that's good for the hotel because they're using less toilet paper because customers aren't throwing away the first 8 sheets. They're saving money on the stickers, right? But also customers are happier because there's no longer a risk of your hand going through your toilet paper while you're in the bathroom. So everybody's kind of a winner in this case.
This sounds very Gaia-based. So ripping off price tags, working together as beings, taking care of each individual and of each resource, sharing collective responsibility, having no reward in mind. Perfect. Yep.
I wanted to move on to this because it's so important once you talk about the importance of understanding stakeholders, right, or moving beyond stakeholders. The procurement example that Porter gives, I think, is very important. Think about all the times that suppliers or other stakeholders don't get it right, okay, or they're not as efficient as they could. And I always hammer on this fair trade, and Michael Porter says the same thing. You think about fair trade coffee, right? It's basically, you look at some developing country and they don't produce enough coffee or tea in an efficient way, so we as customers pay some sort of a premium to those growers of coffee or tea. It's kind of like a way of saying you're in a developing country, you can't do any better. But in many ways, it's rewarding inefficiency. Under the procurement example, that involves a company going to the suppliers, going to the producers, and teaching them more efficient ways of making the product and making a product that better suits customer needs. Now, Michael Porter gives a fantastic example with Nestle, right? Nestle went to Africa and met with the farmers who grow coffee. They gave them modern agricultural techniques so they could produce coffee in a more efficient manner for Nestle. So Nestle winds up actually not doing any fair trade at all. They pay the African farmers what their coffee is worth because they're producing a high quality product. And everybody wins here. The farmers in Africa learn modern agricultural techniques. They're better growers of coffee. Nestle wins because they have more stable and consistent supplies of coffee beans. And the customer wins because they pay a correct price and they get the product that they want. So everybody wins in this case as well.
So yeah, but still, again, for me, this is an extrinsic way of having an outcome, a result. And in the Gaia-based corporate social and sustainable responsibility, we talk about the so-called Gaia salary. So a Gaia salary, which is nothing which we can possess, nothing which we can accumulate, nothing which we can even define as it happens along the way. So it might be a worldwide reduction of poverty. It might be a gender equality. It might be the equal possibility for every human to have a health care. It might be the apple tree in the garden or drinkable water for everyone. So the result which comes out of Gaia-based approaches just happens along the way, and still it will be surprisingly beautiful, maybe even more beautiful than what you explained.
Starting on the intrinsic side. Well, let me give an example that builds on this intrinsic side.
Okay.
Right? Think about investing in employees. A lot of companies will invest in employee training, for example, invest in employee morale programs, and they do it because that goes into being a good steward, i.e. managers have a responsibility to their employees to make sure that they're well trained, they're happy, and they're enjoying their work. Well, unfortunately, if you look at the numbers, in the short term, this does not necessarily increase profits. However, when you look at it in the long-term perspective, by investing in employees with better training, better morale, those actually wind up being more productive employees. So you get an extrinsic reward for doing something for an intrinsic reason. And that's exactly what Michael Porter is talking about with this employee productivity.
So that means if we are, or if we live, or if we embody shared value, then it sort of fuses with Gaia-based approaches, and then extrinsic and intrinsic is sort of the same.
Exactly. They become one and the same, right? I'll give another example to kind of illustrate this, right? Think about distribution, right? And we use Walmart, which is a company that we normally don't think about as being exactly the most socially responsible, right? And this is where it gets tricky because they may be irresponsible in some policies and responsible in other ones. But they actually wound up redoing all of their trucking routes a few years ago. And so what winds up happening is that truckers spend fewer hours on the road. So they're spending less gas, the product gets to market faster, truckers get paid more, customers in turn pay lower prices. Of course, it's hard to say because Walmart advertised this as they were doing it for the good of the environment. So did they have an extrinsic motivation? Well, they certainly got an extrinsic reward, right? Or did they have an intrinsic motivation of doing the right thing? Root causes can be kind of hard to determine in this case.
Wow. So there's no one or the other. Like extrinsic and intrinsic cannot be separated or being measured any longer. So that's cool.
Yeah. He even talks about when we blend the extrinsic and intrinsic together, again, it reminds me whether you're looking at Michael Porter's shared value or Mary Parker Follett's integration. Maybe the way to look at it is that extrinsic and intrinsic are sides of the same coin, right? We may not be able to know what someone's true motivation is, but if there are intrinsic and extrinsic benefits that come with it, I think that's a positive win for all stakeholders, including Mother Gaia.
So yeah, we can even call it Gaia-based shared value businesses.
That's right.
And they lie beyond the separation of extrinsic and intrinsic ideas. So we have it in our hands, right, to give back what Gaia generates for us. Yeah. Everything we get, we give back at the same time. I love it.
So I guess whether you look at Michael Porter's moving beyond trade-offs for extrinsic reasons, Mary Parker Follett's looking at moving beyond trade-offs because it's a more efficient way of doing things for intrinsic and extrinsic value, or Mother Gaia's approach of moving beyond trade-offs for intrinsic reasons, I guess we've moved beyond trade-offs on all three fronts.
Yes, and the turnover is a beautiful life for all beings. Thank you.
Very cool. No, I'm the one who thanks you. And of course, we should also thank our audience for watching this video. Yes. If you liked our videos, what can you do? You can give us a like, that's like a thumbs up. You can comment down below with any questions. And you can subscribe to either my channel, Dr. D University.
Or to mine, Princess Gaia.
But we're looking forward to seeing you in the next video series. Thanks for watching.
Bye.